Probably should. Why not? All right, the Australian Open is coming up, and it's about 3 weeks away. So we got some time. We got a lot of time, as a matter of fact. But the interesting thing for me is that I was, scouring the news yesterday, and I saw that Novak Djokovic is having issues with the quarantine. Andy Murray tested positive for COVID-19. They have quarantined 47 players total, but there have been positive tests that are causing issues. Australian Open, they enforce strictly, I might add, a 14-day quarantine. They can't leave their hotel rooms to even practice. They can't practice. They've got to stay in their rooms. The coach for Bianca Andreescu has tested positive. Rafa Nadal, Dominic Thiem are going to be competing in the Australian Open, assuming it goes as planned, without their coaches. And Novak Djokovic is kind of losing his mind. And I don't fault him for it. The issue for me is he wants to ease the quarantine restrictions. And this is a guy who held a tournament last year and people tested positive for COVID after playing in a tournament without masks. There was a party and a bunch of other events around his tournament. Nick Kyrgios, of all people, has been critical of Novak Djokovic for even asking for restrictions. Now, granted, Kyrgios went a little too far, calling Djokovic a tool. That's not right. But players are practicing in their rooms, hitting balls off the walls. Djokovic wants to be able to practice and see his coaches, and he's talking about the food is not of the quality that he expects it to be. I don't know, my man. I think you're going to have to live with it. And the reason why you're going to have to live with it is because we want the Australian Open to go on as planned. And unfortunately, the only way that that's going to happen is the players are the ones that have to sacrifice the most. Why? Because we want to see the players. Novak Djokovic, your favorite at plus 130 on DraftKings. I plan to have an Australian Open preview show the Thursday before the tournament begins. I'm trying to look at a panel. Maybe we'll get Frank Hanrahan, Ava Wallace. No promises, but I'm working on it. Dominic Thiem. You know I'm on Team Thiem. He's at plus 500. Rafa Nadal is down to plus 525. And as I mentioned, both of those players will be competing in the Australian Open without their coaches. So I'd be curious if that number is going to drop a little bit. But I see some favorites in here that I kind of like. Diego Sebastian Schwartzman at plus 10,000. Marin Cilic at plus 15,000. Now, of course, you got to see if they stay healthy. If they stay healthy. And then if you look on the women's side, Naomi Osaka is favored at plus 600. As I mentioned, Andrescu, she's at plus 1100, and her coach tested positive for COVID-19. Simona Halep's at plus 1100. Sophia Kinnon's at plus 1500. Long shots could be Corey Goff, also known as Coco Golf, at plus 5,000. On the women's side, I would say there's less of a chance in my mind of a long shot. And if you look at the numbers that you can get some of these players at, it kind of reflects that a little bit. But I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to having the Australian Open preview show here on the Props Network, and I'll be covering more tennis now that the season is getting started. So I am really looking forward to that. But if I had to pick, if I've got to pick a favorite right now, just for fun, how could you not pick Naomi Osaka at plus 600? On the women's side, I'm going to stick with Naomi Osaka. I'll see how the warm-up tournament goes when they are out of this quarantine. And on the men's side right now, Dominic Thiem at plus 500. But don't hold me to it just yet. Don't hold me to it. All right, as I end the show, I want to talk about it is